Executive session. Is there a second? Councilman Divney, all in favor? Aye. All right, we were just in executive session for Police Commission to go over some crime statistics. Things looking good. So we already did attendance. I'm going to move directly to the Pledge of Allegiance. If Esther Baylor could please lead us.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And it's been a bit. I missed the first meeting because of the newborn, and we had Mike Lawler, our deputy supervisor, filling in, and then we had a snow event for one of the first times this winter. So I'm back. I've just grown a few inches and shaved my beard. It's the same person. All right, so a few announcements followed by a couple of presentations, and then we'll be going again. The new format for 2019 is workshopping everything, and then public comment, and then voting on it so that people have a chance to talk, but we can still move quickly. First announcement, on March 12th at the regular town board meeting at 8:05 p.m., there'll be a public hearing regarding a watercourse diversion permit for 60 Fisher Avenue. On Saturday, April 13th, from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, our town clerk, Rosanna Sfragia, will be hosting a paper shredding event here at Town Hall from 8 a.m. to 12 noon again. That's at Town Hall parking lot. If you could please bring non-perishable food donations, they'll be given to our local food pantries. And of course, on March 17th at 1:30 p.m. step off, though I recommend you get there a little earlier, is the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade in Pearl River, sponsored by the Ancient Order of Hibernians. There is some confusion sometimes when it falls this way, but on actual St. Patrick's Day, it is the Pearl River Parade because it's the Sunday. Saturday prior is New York City this year. So February, going to presentations, is Black History Month. Here in Orangetown, we're honored to have a very active and responsible organization, the NIAC NAACP. And last year, we awarded a proclamation in honor of Black History Month to the president, Dr. Francis Pratt. This year, we'll be awarding a proclamation in honor of Black History Month and in honor of the contributions of African Americans to our town, to April Cobb. So what I'm going to be asking is that Dr. Pratt come up to the podium and introduce April and her accomplishments, and then we'll be presenting her this proclamation immediately thereafter. So, Dr. Pratt? Rob, could you help with the microphone? I think it's going to be too high for her.
Good evening.
All right, we're good.
It's a pleasure to be here, and we are honored. But first off, I'm going to acknowledge April's pastor, Pastor Raymond Calaman, and his wife. Would you please stand? Thank you. And her sister and other members from Calvary. I'm sorry, from Fairmount. Would you please stand? Thank you. You may be seated. It has been said that we should brighten the corner where we are. That's what April does. For over 9 years, she has been a mentor for the Youth Council of the NIAC branch of the NAACP. When somebody reach out to somebody else's kids, because some people don't even want to take care of their own kids, I think they need to be given a hand, don't you? Let's give April a hand for that. I have to give April credit for blossoming where she's planted. And wouldn't it be good if everybody did something in the community where they are planted? So I'm not going to preach because Pastor Calaman is here, and I'm not going to do that for him. But at this time, April, would you come forward?
Thank you, Dr. Pratt. We have here for April proclamation. I'm just going to summarize it. It's not too long. Whereas in the 1976, President Ford declared February as Black History Month to celebrate the contributions of African Americans to the United States. And whereas in Orangetown, Black history is town history for over 300 years, African American residents of the town have contributed to the development of this community. And whereas many local groups, including the NIAC NAACP, the NIAC Center, the Rockland Negro Scholarship Fund, and others, have held or will hold events to commemorate Black History Month, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Orangetown hereby recognizes the African American residents of this town by proclaiming February 2019 as Black History Month in the town of Orangetown. to honor April Cobb. Congratulations. Thank you. April, you're welcome to sit.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Orangetown County Town Board for this distinction. I'm not much of a public speaker, so you have to forgive me. But I'm really honored, I'm humbled, I'm flattered for this opportunity. I worked with the youth, like Mrs. Pratt said, for about 8 or 9 years. I'm not in that capacity now, but I can say that the youngsters who came under my mentorship, and along with others who worked with me, have accomplished some great things. We have motivational speakers, we have lawyers, some doctors, we have people who've started their own churches, but people who have accomplished a lot of things, and I'm humbled to have been a part of that growth. And I'd just like to thank my friends, Felicia, Wayne, who came to participate in this, my sister Lynn, my cousin, and my pastor, and his wife. As I said, I'm not a public speaker, but I'm really humbled for this proclamation, and I will cherish it. And thank you.
Thank you, April. Absolutely. You brought enough for everyone, at least.
Thank you so much. A little appreciation for you. May God bless you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The scripture reminds us to give honor to whom all the honor is due. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
would
you,
like
Reverend.
for Mr. Day to come down and take a picture with the pastor and me. And,
Absolutely, yeah. But what I'll do is, Francis, what I'll do is I'll call a brief recess so we can do a couple photos with the board, and then that way, if you folks don't want to stick around for the 45 agenda items, you don't have to. I'll move for a brief 3.5-minute recess, we'll call it. Second from Councilman Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move us out of recess. Is there a second? Councilman Vitari, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Quick, you forgot to mention that St. Patrick's Day parade.
I did mention the
There
same.
should be marching with venture.
the-
It's a policy.
Thank you, Esther.
I'll approve it. No.
Okay. So we have one more presentation before we move forward. We have a presentation to one of our own employees, someone we know very well here. Our Director of Finance, Jeff Bensick, has been doing a pretty good job, I'm told, which may be why he's still in the job through 2 supervisors. He has been awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This is this is on your wall? Can the town hall support the weight of this on the wall in its current condition? Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the year ending 2017 by the Government Finance Officers Association. That's 2012 through 2017 on this, all awarded to Mr. Bensick, and I'm sure he will attribute much of that to his staff as well. Jeff, come on up, get your really heavy award. You want it? Go. The floor is yours until you get out of hand, then we'll have to take it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I really just wanted to say that this award couldn't be done without my finance staff. It's a very small staff, but I would like to thank Janice Ganley, Stephanie Tisello, and Natalie Shooter, because it would not happen without them. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, so now we do have, Eric, what number is that resolution? All right, 34. We're going to go slightly out of order because one of the resolutions, there's a gentleman here that wants to tell us a little more about it. We're going to continue then workshopping everything, then we'll go to the public hearing, and then we'll vote following that. Agenda item 34, I'll take your attention to accept a donation of improvements from the Piermont Historical Society and Spark Hill at the entrance to the Erie Path. I'm sorry, I don't know your name off the top of my head. Richard Esnar. Would you mind stepping up to the podium and telling us a little bit about these improvements you're going to be doing, this donation? Because I heard some things and it seems pretty interesting.
Okay. The Piermont Historical Society is part of the larger Greenway program, which will be putting informational signs such as these. This is one sign. This is the sign in particular we're speaking about, which is located right here. This would be the Erie Path is right here. This is Spark Hill. South Highland Avenue, South Piermont Avenue is located in that location. The intention is to clear a little area for sort of a little park entrance. What we will do is install this sign. In addition to that, in the bushes, we found an electrical relay box from the Erie Railroad, must be 67 years old, and was going to be restored and also placed in that location. Thirdly, we intend to put the tracks, model 6-foot-long tracks, showing the direction of the New York and Erie. The theme of this of the sign is the intersection of the Erie-Lackawanna or the Northern Railroad and the old New York and Erie, which went from the Piermont Pier to Dunkirk at the time. So that's the intersection here. That's the theme. The model of the tracks will show where the old New York and Erie was. Very significant sign. So this is what we propose to do in that area.
Great. Does anyone have any questions? Sounds like a great project. We appreciate you donating it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll go back to the beginning. Appreciate that again. Thank you. Before we continue with the skip ahead if you like, but I mean, it's going to be. Where's the other order? I don't want Tom to get upset. We had asked Jane after the meeting where Mike was chairing. There were some questions regarding Linen Choice. Before we continue with the discussion of the workshop and the agenda items, I wanted to bring her up to tell us a little bit about the history of that property and what's going on there, because there's a lot of community concern, and we share those concerns and what can be done with it and what has been done with it. So I think it's important to get a full picture of the history of the property and where it's been approved to go and where it'll go from there. So, Jane, once you're situated, feel free.
The plan that you see before you was the plan that was originally originally approved when Aloof came in, I think it was 2004. And, yes, 2004, which was approved for a large building of 231,000 square feet. The lot itself is 14 acres.
Just to clarify, sorry, I didn't say, this is the area behind St. Catherine's, behind the rail trail.
Correct.
Between
They
Aloof
are,
and
they
St.
are
Catherine's.
just north of Aloof.
Right.
So, let's see if the arrow works. This area here is the rail trail.
Yes.
Am I on the other side of St. Catherine's?
Yeah, on the
Yeah,
other side.
St. Catherine's is over here.
And there's
And
Murphy
I'll show
Court.
you an aerial. I'll put that up next. This
Okay.
is the development that Mr. Valentine referenced at the last meeting that was actually a commercial zone that was changed to an R15. Let me jump to the aerial.
Yeah, sorry to
that'll
throw you
help.
off there.
No, that's
I
okay.
never said where it was.
Okay. So this is an aerial of the area through the years. This is 2004. This is Aloof right here, this piece. This is the development that we were talking about that was changed from commercial to residential. Back at that time, it was wooded. You can see here, this is the property that is the college, was also wooded in 2004. 2007, Murphy Court was constructed. It's hard to tell from these aerials, but when you zoom in really close on the GIS map, they wiped out every tree. They clear-cut this whole development in order to put these houses in. This is the beginning, this piece here is the beginning of the dorms being built, and that's 2007. In 2013, you'll see these are the dorms constructed. This is that residential area, and again, this is still wooded. This is prior to the rail trail being developed. And now you can see that this is when in 2016, and again, these aerials are the years that are available on the county GIS. So between 2013 and 2016, you'll see that this whole area was cleared. So now this had been cleared, this had been cleared, and what's left is this commercial piece that's an LI zoning district. So now if you go back to the Aloof plan, originally, these were all outdoor loading docks. All of this parking, more outdoor loading docks down here, and a building that was 230,000 square feet. And you're seeing that this is the actual parking and site layout. Now, if you go to the current plan that is approved, this is, again, the site plan, so this doesn't show the trees. But you can see how much less coverage that they're actually proposing and were approved for. And I'll explain those numbers in a minute.
And now the uses were different too, right? The Aloof
Correct.
one was factory,
Was factory.
and this one's
This,
warehouse.
this is a warehouse. What they're proposing to do and what they were approved to do at this point is they bring in linens, they package them and send them back out. The only type of work they would be doing there is sewing if a sheet is ripped, and it's for wholesale. It goes to hotel chains, things like that. It's not sold to the public. The next one will show what's happening with the actual site work. This line up here that's all squiggly is the tree limit line. They are permitted to clear to that point. This next line's here is what they're going to plant back after work is completed. This is a fire access road that goes around the building. Very limited parking. This is the rail trail. They're also installing, there's a stream here, and they're going to hard pipe, that's what you're seeing here, the culvert that catches the stream, and they hard pipe the stream and divert it. Right now it's free flowing. So this will direct the water. They actually installed a larger, or will install a larger pipe than what was required to account for future water flow. They agreed to do that. This is the row of trees that they are going to plant back. So what has happened, what everyone's seeing, is these trees in here had to be removed in order for them to put the pipe in. Because what a lot of people don't understand is the roots of a tree are as big as the crown, right? Where the leaves spread out. So if you think you're okay and you're, oh, I'm 5 feet from the tree, and you're cutting through the roots, that tree is going to die because you basically just cut its feet off. So they'd have to clear to a point where they can get this pipe in, and they have to take down the trees that would be affected, otherwise they would be falling in the future. So they are planting back on their property along the trail here. Now, this area up top, this is the 100-foot buffer that everyone's referencing. And then there's supposed to be 50 feet to the building. Now, the last one shows it better. The only portion that is past the required setback, this 50 feet here, is this little corner and this little corner. So they are conforming, other than those, they got minor variances for that. So now I'll take you to the variances and the bulk. So here's a comparison between this is what's required to be compliant in the LI zone. Again, 2 acres is required. In this case, the lot is 14 acres. They were previously approved for a 35% FAR, where 50% is allowed. So basically, they could build half of a 2-acre equivalent of a building.
The higher is more, like the higher the number.
Well, the floor area ratio is every floor of the building.
Okay.
They did have a 2-story building back then. Now it's 1 story, and their floor area ratio has been reduced to 28%. I think the biggest number that people will recognize is maximum lot coverage. That includes building, parking, driveway, anything that is not natural vegetation. Our zoning allows for 80%. Previously, they were approved in 2004 for 61. That's been reduced to 49. Their side yard allowed 50. They were approved now for an even better side yard at 79, where they had 70 before. Their total side yard, again, that they could go for is 100 feet, originally approved for 143 feet, and increased that to 159. The building area went from 231 down to 175. They were previously approved for a total of 15 loading berths. 9 on the north side, which that's the side where that new residential development was constructed, and 4 on the south, and 260 parking spaces. Now they have 15 enclosed, meaning they're fully within the building, so the trucks will pull into the building and the doors close. And they only have 4, which is on the south side, which faces aloof. And they reduced to 75 parking spaces. So while it looks stark and understandably everyone's upset about the trees coming down, this new proposal is a much nicer proposal than what they actually were approved and could have came in for a permit and built it.
And even, just as I recall, it was December of 17, I think, when it
Correct.
went to the ZBA. They came in without the indoor loading docks, and that was put in originally. Like, they came in for all outdoor loading docks or less indoor ones. And
That's
they were made
correct.
to put more indoor ones as opposed to outdoor, correct?
Correct.
So what, with the buffer for the trees along the rail trail, what sort of trees are they being required to put in? Like, are they evergreens of some sort?
They've gone to, I lost that one. They did go to Acapor. They went through all of our boards. Linden's Dress Final. There's a lot of trees. This is,
That's the list of trees.
yeah, that's their tree code, which is going to be a little blurry. There's multiple different varieties of trees and plants going in there. So some are evergreens, some are deciduous.
The end result is the building, from the rail trail, I think, to the road, is about 30 feet on the closest point to the loop road, the emergency road.
Yeah, that's the other one. Hold on.
And then to the building, I think it's at least 50, so it's pretty far away.
Yeah,
And if we never cleared the rail trail, it would be a big buffer.
right.
Right, so they're actually, that's 75 feet from the property line, right, or 79? That's actually, that's 79,
Right, from the building.
right here.
To the building, yeah.
Down here is 94. So those are,
Well, and to the road, or to the path, because I don't think it's paved, is.
well, that's even further because
50
that's
feet.
their property, yeah, that's their property line, that, those dimensions go to their property line.
Right.
And as you go further down, they're 120 feet at this corner.
So really, and also, I guess, just to add, this is all by right use stuff in the LI zone. They were allowed to put these type of things in on the property, correct? There was-
Yes, and
wasn't like
manufacturing,
like a special permit situation or anything, just
correct.
by right.
Right, the way the code reads, the LI zone is all types of manufacturing uses subject to performance standards,
Right.
which then they have to go to ZBA and the performance standards are reviewed.
So we,
So a warehouse is a big.
warehouse is definitely better, much better than the factory that was approved. So I guess what we need to do is, I'm taking away from this, is kind of see, maybe engage with them about talking about what sort of trees they're putting in again, and see what voluntary sort of stuff, maybe what the plan will look like versus what we would hope it would look like, how old the
Right,
trees
so
might be
that's
when they're planted,
This one here.
or how mature.
Right, so this is, zoom in, you'll see,
Yeah.
it's pretty dense.
Yeah, it seems like they're putting a good amount. I guess there's the question of how old will the trees be, how tall, how.
Right, and one of the issues they have is, see, this is that pipe. This is where the water is caught, the culvert, and that's the pipe. The pipe's 48 inches in diameter. So you don't want to put trees
Yeah,
too
that's
close
true.
to that pipe, because it's only going to be a problem down the line. And it could, grow into the pipe, and you have issues with the drainage. So I think, it's a very tight area here
Well,
between the pipe and the property line.
There will be trees planted back in versus what people are seeing right now. Like, I know when I take my daughter over to nursery school over there, to pre-K, it doesn't look good.
No.
Right now, I know Paul goes to St. Catherine's, and Jerry, I think, goes to St. Catherine's too. But what we should be doing, basically, is encouraging everyone to wait to see what the new plantings look like, because the sort of clear cut that they're seeing right now is not the end result.
Right, and I think this is very telling. Like I said, that this was all woods,
Right.
and this was all woods. So, and there's some residential, and here's the church. So, over time, the area has been losing its trees.
Right.
But yes, a finished product of any commercial site looks much better when it's done than as it's being built.
Right. Okay. Gentlemen, you have any questions for Jane about this project? Or? Great, thank you. Okay, I don't see anyone waiting for the public hearing that's scheduled, so let's just finish the workshopping and then come back to it so we can get that done with. Because, again, I don't see anyone here for comment on that. All right, so first one will be the public hearing on the parking municipal lots at parking meters. Well, that's the first several resolutions through 6 with the proposed local law, which you have in front of you. Again, to summarize, this one basically takes our parking meters section and our parking lots section for Pearl River, puts them into one section, and changes the way our permits work so it encourages the use of the lots, because what our parking enforcement has found is that the streets are being parked on and our lots are not being utilized. So in addition to increased signage and other efforts, we need to change the rules, basically, or the idea is to change the rules to allow people to park in the lots, one, without requiring a permit if they park at a metered spot, or two, selling permits to let them park there without needing to use the meters, and then giving some more options for seasonal use for people who are parking overnight, who want to park in opposition to our overnight parking rules. We haven't had much sale of the types of permits we sell right now. There's 0 24/7, or is it 1, I forget. Permits sold this year, existing this year, for example. So we have none this year, right? Yeah. So we're trying to just basically logically organize it, which we can discuss, after the public comment if we like, or now. But. Number 7 is to appoint the Substance Abuse Committee with the folks that are listed. Number 8 is to accept the resignation of a member of the Blue Hill Golf Committee. And gentlemen, please stop me if you have anything, questions or anything like that. If it looks simple, I'm just going to keep going. Number 9 is to appoint someone to replace him. Patrick Shields will be replacing him. Then appoint Stefan Muno, Office of Emergency Management Committee. We're just adjusting a couple of people on a couple of committees to reflect personnel changes from before. So the next one also is appoint Anthony Lamandry to the Traffic Advisory Board. Joe Urban, our Senior Advisory Chairperson, unfortunately has had some medical issues, so she's going to have to step down. Following that resolution, you'll see an appointment of a basically redone Senior Advisory Committee after talking to the folks that attend and some people that volunteered. Fortunately, we got someone to volunteer as the leader of that committee. We're accepting the resignation of Peter Duda as a member of the Air Quality Review Committee, sadly, because he's done a lot of good work for the town. Then the next one, this is one we can, if you want to talk about a little bit. The background on this is a couple of things came up. One, and it's not about this particular spot, but speaking generally about the town. One, I met with the town arborist discussing the idea, will we take down a certain number of trees in the town in the right of way in order to deal with safety issues and that sort of thing. Previously, there had been enough money in the tree budget to always replant somewhere nearby in a safer spot. That hasn't been occurring for the last several years, at least since 08 or 09, he told me, because the budget had been cut from 50,000 down to 10, which only allows for minimal plantings when you're talking about more mature trees. As a result, the trees around the roadways in town, though we're dealing with the tree limbs, which is important, we're not keeping the greenways. You see the same thing, we're talking about just trees generally in town with the Lynn and Choice property, though this isn't specifically related to that because it's on private property. I've also had residents reach out. I had actually a young resident reach out about this, a middle schooler writing a letter about it. So the idea is to take $20,000, reallocate some money to increase that line, not to where it was, but to somewhere where we can plant more trees in the town broadly, not in any particular area. It would give the discretion to, I think it's a combination of Eric and Jim, depending on how the tree comes down and where it is, to get these things replanted along with the town arborist, who has been working with us for many years. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions on that one?
I think it's a great idea. And there are places, not only on the rail trail where this is being cleared, but as you walk down further, the rail trail is a great idea. We've got plain view of some factories and places that maybe if we planted a few evergreens in there, would spruce it up, and even going down Western Highway, a few trees on the side of the road, or in the middle of town. Road over here, we've had plantings and flowers, and now there's just rocks, maybe a few trees there. So I think it's a great idea.
Anything else, John?
I agree.
All right. The next one is one that's done every 2 years. Paula, I'm going to let Tom, you're really involved in this. You want to talk to this resolution a little bit?
Dennis and I have been on this.
Yeah. You have the history on
Petition
this.
with Paula, this is like our 10th or 11th year, Dennis?
Yep.
And we raise awareness about the killers of Paula Bohoveski. They come up for parole every 2 years, and I wrote the resolution 10 years ago when I first got on the board, and Dennis and John Murphy and a number of dedicated people, including Bill Schul, every 2 years when they're up for parole, we put out petitions and we do what we need to do to keep these two individuals in jail. And we'll let Dennis add on to that.
Yeah, I've talked about this before. I moved to Pearl River in 1979. I was in here long, and I was just shocked in 1981, 1980. In 1980, when Paula Bohoveski was killed near where I lived. It was on her way home from the Pearl River Library, and she just had to walk a couple of blocks, and she was savagely killed, beaten, and it was just a horrendous thing to happen here. I said, geez, what kind of community I move into? And it's a thing where, for me, and I know Lois, I know the mom, and our committee with Tom has done a great job in terms of publicizing this, because it gets harder and harder every year to keep the two gentlemen in jail. Because one of the things that New York State is doing is releasing a lot of inmates as a cost-effective measure. And the thing that keeps them in jail every 2 years is the support of the community. I'll be putting out petitions in the stores in Pearl River. Those signatures count. They count when you go to the Pearl Board and you got a pile of signatures for something that happened in 1980 that is still very important to the people of the community, and you hand that to the board. The letters that come from the elected officials, we have letters each time coming in from the DA's office, judges, all right? All of that counts, but each time it's harder and harder. And really the basic reason is we do this for Mrs. Blaveski. You know, for her to have these two guys out would be horrendous. So we appreciate the town doing the resolution, and just look for these petitions. They'll be out shortly.
Thank you, gentlemen. And Ed, it's not just a financial thing. The parole boards have been directed ideologically to let out a lot of people who are just not good people lately. They released Herman Bell and other people who are not at all contrite, but still being released. So if you want this justice to continue to be served, you need to sign the petition. And there's also a website, petitionforpaula.com or .org, where you could sign online. So we'll pass this memorializing resolution that the board has done every 2 years. I'm happy to vote for the first time, and it'll be delivered to the governor, to the parole board, to our assembly people, and we'll go from there. Next, we have a resolution to accept a proposal agreement. As we all know, we did a downtown revitalization study over the summer, which concluded in the fall by the Pace University Land Use Law Center, Pace University Law School. That came back with some concepts we need to explore. One of the things we've talked about is exploring a mixed-use zone / transit-oriented zone for the downtown Pearl River area. In my opinion, it's not something that Rob and me and Jane should sit down in a corner and come up with an idea and figure out. I think it's too big of an idea. I think it makes more sense to hire professionals who have done this before so that we can then look at what they say and make changes to it as the people of Orangetown see fit, or decide we don't want to do it as we see fit. But it is a big undertaking. It is the next logical step in the process of deciding what we want to do with downtown Pearl River to make sure it continues to thrive and continues to have economic activity and grow in that sense, in the economic sense especially, so it can continue for the next generation. We got a few quotes, Rob. We did 2 quotes on it, or I think 3 quotes. They were all pretty much $30,000 each. Mazer Consulting, and if anyone's got an issue with a particular firm, it's fine. We've worked with them in the past. They've done these sort of size scope things before. What they'll do is they'll write it in consultation with us so that at least we know what they're saying. And then they will create the legal documents, what will be the code. It'll be presented for public hearing, which will, of course, have multiple public hearings on it, possibly even in Pearl River. We could always do it in the high school for people's input. But there's nothing right now to talk about in terms of we don't have a proposal to discuss until we have a written proposal. So does anyone you guys have any thoughts on it, discuss or move forward? Or
I don't think we've gotten enough input from the residents of Pearl River on this yet. You had the meeting at the high school, and as I recall, most of the people didn't want any changes to Pearl River. Dennis, you were at that meeting. Most of the people said, we want Pearl River to stay the same. They weren't for this kind of development.
I don't quite remember it that way.
Well, I do.
Well, okay, I'm just saying, I went to the meeting. They like Pearl River as it is, but in reality, in Pearl River, you have mixed use right now. You have it where you have in the older historical buildings there, you have residences in the second floor. It's a thing where I think here, at least the study should be done, because any type of development should be planned out. And I think that's all this is doing here, Tom.
Well,
and what we will have going forward is more public sessions on this. Once you come up with something that people can put a handle around.
But I think there is a plan that I've seen that was proposed by this board, well, the supervisor's office. I think we should distribute that so they can see what is being proposed, to see if the majority of the residents of Pearl River want that. We're making decisions without really having, the downtown study didn't have this proposal. So this is something totally new to the residents of Pearl River.
Well, that's the idea, though. Like, what was circulated amongst the board members as a concept for them to work off of and do something professionally, because we're not qualified, and I'm not certainly,
Well,
is something that then, we don't want to, I don't want to put something for people to weigh in on that's not done professionally. Because this is the idea. This is not making a decision. It's saying, this is what a transit-oriented zone would look like theoretically, so give them left and right parameters of how to write it. Then we do public hearings on that topic, and people can say, we hate it, we love it, we like that part, we hate that part. But if we don't have something concrete for them to look at, you know, a PowerPoint slide just generally that we can then hand over to these people that actually know what they're doing, that frankly, you know, is done on the sort of back of the envelope stuff, is not the way to, I don't want to put forward a proposal that's not been vetted by professionals. That's the whole concept of anything that was discussed individually amongst us, was to get on a sense of what we would then let someone professionally be involved with. Because I'm not going to put something forward that is literally an internal discussion item for the consultants to at least have a framework of what Pearl River,
No,
like what to work with.
I understand, I just don't think the town board hasn't collected enough data and enough input based on a transit-oriented zone. We haven't. All we did was have a study by the Pace University Law School and the Land Use Law Center. But we didn't say this is what we're proposing, and I don't think we've got enough input from the residents of Pearl River to support that this is what they want.
So, you know, if you drive down Pearl River, which is a beautiful hamlet, there's a lot of empty stores. The Chamber of Commerce came in here and said they support some sort of revitalization plan. All this is doing is giving us a first version of a roadmap. We're not voting on making the zoning change. We're voting on, hey, here's some concepts. We're gonna throw it out there. Can you guys make this so that we can present it to the public in a good, concrete, readable fashion? And then we'll take the public input and we'll shape that plan to a way.
That's what I'm taking away. So I don't know how we vet it without having something on professionals written.
I'm just saying, this is gonna alter the downtown area
I
of Pearl
agree.
River forever.
I agree.
And you haven't really put this out to the public at all.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is, in my opinion,
I think you gotta bring in the opinion of the people that live there before you start saying we're gonna.
But this is just the starting point.
that's the goal.
To get.
I don't want you to
public's
think that
input.
what we're
I
saying
think you
here.
get input before you even put out.
We
That's
had.
just my opinion.
I understand what you're saying, but I want to make clear what I personally am trying to do, what I think the other folks are saying is, we had a general concept session about talking about downtown Pearl River. The Chamber of Commerce came in and said revitalization TOD. We then did that study, so we've gotten public input about general concepts. In order to get more public input on the specific idea of a TOD,
You need an idea.
we need to
Okay.
present an idea. That's what the
I'm
goal of
just
this is.
saying.
And I don't like spending money. I really don't. I like spending my own money or anyone else's, but I don't want to be the one writing it because I don't know enough to write the thing. So let's some professionals.
And the chamber is for it, and I've been a member of the chamber for 10 years, and that's great. But the chamber represents the business owners mainly in town. It doesn't represent
disagree.
the people that own houses, that own the residential places in Pearl River. It represents the business interest. And I have a business interest in Pearl River, but I also realize that a lot of the chamber don't live in Pearl River. A lot of them do, but we really didn't get any input from the people that own 8,000, 9,000 houses in Pearl River. I'm just saying.
All I would ask is, Tom, that you consider is that the intent of this study and what will end up with this study is something for them to give further input on. Because we can't do what, I know what you want to do, I want to do what you want to do. I want to have multiple public hearings, discuss it further, make sure the residents have full buy-in. There's no way we're going to make decisions without having multiple public hearings. And if we do, we vote against it then at the time. But
Well,
this is to get that step that you want.
All I'll say is that I don't know if you're gonna get the residents to fully buy into this.
They may not, absolutely. You're right. They may say no.
Then it won't happen.
Then it won't happen.
That's an assumption.
I agree. They may
I have a
not.
feeling they won't buy into this.
Well,
They may
I
not,
agree,
yeah.
But this is a step, I think, that's necessary to get to that point.
I think we just have a responsibility to vet it out. If we put something forward, we have professionals write it, it's worth something that people can talk about. If everyone in Pearl River comes out and says, this is not what we want, even if you change it, then none of us are gonna support it. I know I won't. So, I'm not gonna sit here with Amanda and Rob and try to make something that we talked about just amongst ourselves that wasn't professionally done at all and make that a formal proposal because, that's not responsible for the people of Pearl River either. I wanna have it written by someone who knows what they're doing. So we can then X the whole thing out or X part out or whatever the people say, it's my opinion.
Shape it to what the people want.
Right.
One other point, Paul, there's not a lot of stores now vacant in Pearl River. There's not.
They're filling up, that's good.
There are a lot of little shops that are coming in.
I see the,
Well, you got the coffee
Couple
shop.
of-
furniture stores.
Well, that's
There's
something
still high
different.
turnover is the
You
issue.
got AJ's. AJ's is gonna be open as of March 1st.
Yes, which is awesome.
You've got the coffee shop that recently opened. You've got Ashkenos's old building has been sold. That'll be closing soon. So you've got a lot of the vacant storefronts being developed and new businesses coming in, and that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think the concern is more, is continuing that and also making it be viable and everything. And then we just want, I just want to make sure what we propose, what we allow people to discuss is something they can actually point to and discuss. That's my goal of this, $30,000. Okay. All right. 18, simple, accept, receive, file
Sorry, I
documents.
just wanted to go back to that.
Yeah,
I
we
had-
just finished that out.
Sorry, I hate to
Come
do
on,
it.
man.
Um,
We're all reconciled and talking.
We had to do it. I had sent an email, but the proposal was 30,000. We discussed maybe if they included part of secret.
It might be
Again,
an hourly fee
right,
beyond that if we
as you
need it.
said, when this originally came up, these are professional planners, so we really need them to rely on to draft it, and then, at some point, we can take the ball and run with it in terms of, getting it passed or not passed, whatever the board decides to do. But they did mention that there were some items outside of the 30,000 to be billed hourly. I was going to say, to add after the 30,000 and up to an additional X amount, 5,000 or something for
Just in case.
extras, so that you have that. That would cover about 15 to 20 hours based on their hourly, which should be more than enough to cover it. And if we get to a point where it's beyond it, we can, or near that, we can,
Does this
come back.
include parking plans? I didn't see anything about parking because I've said it from the get-go. Doing this is gonna cause a major strain on the parking in downtown Pearl River.
That's-
So I don't know how you're doing this without doing something for the parking.
well, right, this is just hiring them to do the plan, to come
That
up with
includes
a
the
kind of a
The
concept.
secret would refer parking, and then
Includes
also
secret.
the zone would have to accommodate for the parking needs in the course of running the zone, obviously. Like,
Right,
we're not
that's
gonna,
good.
that's why we're hiring them, because they would know how to do
Right,
it.
that-
Sure.
And that's
right.
why we're also doing the parking hearings today, to improve what we can right now about our parking in Pearl River, because there's like 6 easy checklist items to make parking be infinitely better, one
Well,
of
I
which,
understand, but if
is,
this goes through, this whole parking law we're gonna vote on is
it
gonna.
won't be sufficient, right?
It
Unless
won't-
the zone is written
it's
correctly.
never gonna be sufficient.
That's why we want to have this professionally done, because in my opinion, we don't know what the right way to account for parking is. These guys should, in the way they write a zone. What we're doing right now, we know will fix what we have, but it won't account for the future growth, so we have to incorporate that into this.
So are we gonna limit the scope, or are we gonna direct the scope that we want?
There's a
Or are they
speci-
just coming in and presenting something?
So we discussed just amongst ourselves some concepts about like limits on what they would be able to do. So they're going to take some of that information that my office has given them and run with a full zone, and will be feedback. There'll be meetings with us, and we'll be circulating with the board as it goes, so that you can see where they're going with it. But we told them we don't want too high buildings. We don't want more than this level over here. Maybe focus on the downhill area by the tracks, that sort of thing, so that they can.
So there's limitations to the plan?
Yeah, they're not gonna come in and put an Empire State Building in the middle. We've discussed with
Do
them.
we know approximately how many units might go in downtown?
No, that's why we're.
We were talking in the, we had all talked just generally as people bouncing numbers around. We're in the low hundreds, the 200 to 400 range across the entirety of downtown, but that's just a general discussion item people have talked about in the past. Like, there's no hard numbers for them to put up. We did say I don't think anyone here has ever talked about more than a couple hundred units on, 200 to 300 units over at, what's it called? At Pfizer, when they came in and we were like, there's no way you guys could ever consider more than
No,
this, whether we
that's-
ever do it. It's an example, and
No.
it's unrelated.
But what are we talking downtown?
And then a
Because-
similar number was being tossed around amongst us and amongst the public was 200 to 400 units, but it depends what they come up with that will allow the development and where those units will go. And also, does that include the current units that are there? Because we've already got a lot of apartments down there already. So the net is a total, I think we have 160 units in the downtown right now, something like that, a lot of which are multi-bedroom ones. And I know we all have said publicly, repeatedly, that we don't want any 3, 4 bedrooms in any new zone anywhere in the town, really. We want 0, 1s, and maybe some 2s to get the right type of, end user, someone who's gonna spend some money, who's transitioning. So those are some guidance that's been given, and obviously, if they're hired, the board will be able to meet with them and continue to craft, so we know that what's brought up isn't a non-starter from the moment we look at it. That was the goal of giving them some guidance, is we don't want them to come on with an idea that we all oppose the moment it comes here. We want to be able to something we can consider, that the people of Pearl River could consider. People of Pearl River will not consider any more than several hundred units at most. People of Pearl River will not consider more than a few floors. We all know that, so why tell them, give them free rein? It's kind of the idea. All right. Anything else you want to jump in there on, Rob? All right, good. Accept, receive, and file documents in the town clerk's office. Then we have accept a sanitary sewer easement for a site plan, and then approve sewer certificate registrations or certificates of sewer registration.
I got a question,
go ahead.
just, this is going back to, the March 12th hearing that we announced. They haven't reached an agreement with the neighbor, so we may not be able to have this hearing. Because the attorney, Donald Brenner, was supposed to talk to the neighbor regarding, because the pipe is not on the easement, so they would need to get permission, and I've said that, I won't be voting on this, but they still got to get that permission from my clients, and they haven't gotten it yet.
They're kind of running out of time.
And
Right.
I haven't seen anything from
Right,
them.
well, we'll address that certainly at or before the hearing, but.
Well,
If
I
not,
mean,
we'll
someone
continue
reach
the
out to
hearing.
Mr. Brenner and tell him, listen, it's February 26th and the hearing's in 2 weeks, and I don't think you're gonna have enough time to get it done.
That's one of the issues that will be addressed at the hearing,
All
if
right.
it comes up. And we can, adjourn it if it's not ready to go.
Yeah. Should be in their interest to hurry up. They want the thing, so hopefully they
Yeah,
figure it out.
that's fine.
Next is Westlaw subscription agreement. Rob, did you do some negotiations on this? There was a change in the Westlaw is like our database for law.
Yes, this is off of a state contract, but we eliminated a number of things. We basically went back and forth, and at the end, we got basically the same price. They were upping us in price about $400. We eliminated books. Every once in a while, a book would show up. Nobody looks at the books anymore. It's all online. We have, it's a great service. So basically, for the same price, we're getting the online service, and everybody at the office uses it. It's
Okay.
I would almost say mandatory in a law office these days.
And then extend the license agreement for the use of the Ramapo firing range for our police department. No cost associated with that. Then we're accepting and receiving another drainage easement. This one's a drainage easement, the other one was sanitary sewer for the Griffin site plan. These are not related to that particular one that Tom was referencing, for anyone wondering. These are different items. Then grant permission for finance to attend the Government Finance Officers Association conference in March at a cost of $4,400. They go every year, I believe, right, Jeff? Declare surplus vehicles, if anyone's interested in some cars with bad transmission. Police town attorney, approve a final settlement as subrogee, whatever that is, of Freddie Chalco. MBA, not JD. $2,500. Rob, could you explain that briefly?
Yeah, it was an auto accident involving a police vehicle, and the other person involved, their insurance company came after us for subrogation. They paid their client, or their insured, they came after us for $11,000. We're basically settling it for what we call nuisance value.
And subrogation is what?
Subrogation is the other insurance company coming after us. They paid their insured $11,000.
So they paid out and they're going to get their money
They're
back.
coming to get the $11,000 from
They
us.
could just say that in English.
Well, now you know.
No, this is why you pay
Subrogation,
for
that's what that means.
the legal degree, so you can learn the new words.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
All right. Resolution to approve the TZ High School 8th Annual 5K Run and Walk on Saturday, March 16th for lend assistance. Then approve Highway Department Open House. That'll be Saturday, May 18th. Great event, running from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at our Highway Department. Jim Dean always does a great job with that. Resolution to approve a bid award for one new sidewalk snowplow with accessories, $157,000. Resolution to approve grant disbursement agreement for state and municipal facilities for the Oak Tree Road Bridge. We're basically agreeing to take the money we were promised for a grant. The amount is $500,000, so we'll get to refill our coffers. That's a while. That was going on when I first moved into town. Yeah, jeez. No, it finished when I first got it, yeah, so it's gotta be longer than that. All right, resolution to approve for the lend aid for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Again, that starts at 1:30, but the assistance will be from 11 to 5, along with the showmobile, porta-johns, and PD barricades and highway barricades and such. Then the St. Dominic's Convent 5K Nun Run Walk in Blauvelt. That is on Saturday, May 18th, with the assistance running from 8:30 to 11:30 in the morning. Next, under Parks and Recreation, resolution to award contract for Blue Hill Golf Course pond renovation, $88,500. Again, gentlemen, if there's anything that you want questions on, please stop me. I'm just going because they seem non-controversial. Then that donation we had the gentleman speak from the Piermont Historical Society, which is really nice of them, over at the corner of Spark Hill. One thing also I'll add for that intersection, we're gonna be having a meeting with the DOT, with our highway department, and I believe county may have to get involved, and also Piermont, about trying to improve the intersection over there for pedestrian and bike use, because Piermont came to us about the possibility of, we own parkland in Piermont right now, for some reason. That's basically the trail right after there and runs into Piermont. And we have the bike trail that stops. It doesn't take people into Piermont. And they're trying to get people on their trails and off their roads and make use. The concept is if we figure out that intersection and make it more pedestrian friendly and bike friendly, they might pay for us to connect the rail trail over to the parkland over there to get people into Piermont and out of the roads of our area. So hopefully that works out. It could be a good project. Then we have a few things from Justice Court. These folks are our court officers. They'll be appointed. This is not changing who else is working. They're just going to be in the rotation. That's 35, 36, and 37. DME, we have Michael Weber, who is our chief plan operator. Just to refresh everyone's memory, in the budget, we budgeted for a separate deputy commissioner and the chief plan operator, along with Eamon, the commissioner in DME. What was told him when he first came in, he had the option as the new guy in charge, if he wanted to have some sort of assistant, whether it's a special assistant, confidential assistant, a Stefan Muno or an Amanda sort of thing, and then double hat someone else as deputy. As long as he kept his budget within the same as we budgeted for a separate deputy. So say the budget for the salary for the deputy commissioner, I believe, was 110 or something like that. If you cut the pay of the assistant position and give the extra to the person you're making deputy, he's made the decision that he would like to have Michael Weber appointed to the position to be dual-hatted as deputy commissioner along with chief plan operator. That would then take a portion of that allocated budgetary money, put it over there into that salary, and he's going to take the rest, what's the total amount left over? 85,000 is remaining. That would then go towards a salary for a assistant to replace what the grant writing and that sort of thing that was the position that the deputy was doing in partial of their job. So that explains that one, if there's any questions. Okay. Next, we have one for the GHD is going to, we did a chlorine reduction study, and there's an amendment to it for the design plans to deal with the other end of chlorine. It was reduction and measurement, and basically it's just to allow us to finish the process in a logical way and make use of grant money and bonding. Was it bonding money, I think it was, or grant money? It was grant money and bondings. Yeah. Grant and bonding money to finish the work that maybe wasn't in the original scope, but is the actual project, so we have to modify the scope slightly. Then we have, this is for the pending ammonia requirements that were laid on us by the DEC. We like to bring in West Law Group, who specialize in fighting these sort of things. They work with the county sewer district, in which I sit on the board there. We are doing this along with the county sewer district to fight these requirements because we share the outfall pipe. They're going to be hit. It's not a huge amount of money. I think what we approved not more than $10,000. So they're going to write the letters and do the appeals. The goal is to avoid the requirement at all. The science seems bad. If not, then we have other options, but they know what they're doing, and Rob is not a sewer attorney specifically, as I understand.
Right, their experience with the DEC and dealing with these types of permits is the reason we asked them to come on board. And as you mentioned, they're doing work with the county sewer district, so
Yeah.
it's helpful as, you know, the deadline's coming up for March 9th, so we'd
Okay.
like to get some issues taken
Yes,
care of with that.
it is definitely a time-sensitive item. Next, we finally have a new electrician that we're able to hire. Phil Amirati over in sewer will be an asset for the rest of the town to be able to use as long as they'll lend them out for electrical stuff. We have an assignment already, because no one knows where the power goes over in downtown Pearl River for the LED lighting, so that'll be nice. And that's the regular starting point for that salary. Then we're reclassing, there was a desk audit, resulted in a need for an upgrade for someone in finance, so we're reclassifying to an accountant 2 position. We negotiated with the union for the grade that they would bump to, which I think was, neither of us were happy, so I think it was the right negotiation then. And then the last one will be the audit when we get there, and then we'll be adjourning, and then we'll go back, barring any questions, to the public comment. Is there a motion to open public comment? From Councilman Divney. Second from Councilman Troy. All in favor? I don't see anyone who's not either about to be paid by the town or currently paid by the town in the audience. But I will offer, since maybe some of you are residents, if you wanted to speak. No? Okay, a motion to close public comment by Councilman Troy. Second by Councilman Divney. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Next, we have the public hearing on the, and again, we didn't jump to it because there was no one here. So this is the public hearing on parking meters. Do I have a motion to, let me make sure I say this right. Hold on. Has there everything been published and everything related to this? Any written submissions related to this public hearing, Rosanna? Okay, so all the publications, do we have anything from county planning on this or no?
No, we didn't, it doesn't go to county planning. We did receive something from the planning board and zoning board, basically no comment on it.
Okay. All right, so then we're going to, again, we went over what this thing is. It's to make the parking better in the lots. Is there a motion to open the public hearing, the public portion of the public hearing? Motion. Councilman Valentine, second from Councilman Batari. All in favor? All right. Anyone? No? Is there a motion
I
to?
just, weigh in on it. I'll do it during the public section.
Yeah, I guess we'll leave it open for now while we're talking.
Okay,
Go
so, right, Barbara Gianta actually worked on this. She couldn't be here tonight. Her and I are the legal advisors to the Pearl River High School mock trial team, which had a match tonight, I guess, and they did very well, so.
Good job.
She's still there, had to leave. But we discussed already the reasons for it, so I don't know if anybody has any questions on it. Change it to commuter permit, is changed to a municipal parking permit. And there's also a merchant parking permit, which allows parking at certain meters. This afternoon, I got a call from Jim Dean about a couple of changes that we wanted to make, partly with respect to the location, mostly because of the references, as I mentioned.
Being outdated.
Right, one reference was to a place called Faisal's, which I don't know where that is. I can imagine it must have been south of the post office, but I made a couple of changes.
This is the zone of the parking district.
Correct, where the meters are, and it's basically just to frankly match up the law with what exists out in the field, so there's no change, no difference. You're not gonna see any difference out there. There's no additional metered spots. And I made those changes in the proposed 2416. They're pretty clear. Basically, the meters go from Central, from John Street down to 304. That's one minor change. It said Railroad Place previously. Both sides of North and South Main Street, from North Main at its intersection with East Washington to the southern end of the properties located at 41 South Main and 70 South Main on both sides of the street. That's basically just beyond the post office where the, I guess it's a dance studio, before the dance studio. Music conservatory, and there's another building there, I forget which one it is, but it's in the.
There's two places.
I don't know.
And then Ashman's right there.
And other than that, everything is as presented.
And then a lot of this refers to be designated pursuant to resolution of the town board. So at the next meeting, we'll probably have some resolutions that circulate to actually set the specific rules that are more in line with what we were talking about doing, but we don't, what Rob and I have been trying to do is when we open up the code is try to make the things that people might want to change in the future not require a code change. So if you want to make a 15-minute thing or raise a fee, make it resolution instead of going through this whole rigmarole every time. So we'll have, once we get this passed, we'll have a few resolutions, I think, or maybe one big one
Right.
to do the rest of the rules.
I'm sorry, one other change that Jim had mentioned was what the new 2415 would be regarding the use of revenue derived from the meters. It's a little bit of a change. Again, based on my reading of it, it looks like the last time this was adopted or changed was in the 1950s. So basically saying any money that's deposited into the, from the meters will go into the Pearl River Parking Fund, so we'll go back into, the meters, go back into, or maintenance of the meters, I should say, pavement, trash removal, landscaping of the lots, and enforcement, paying the enforcement officers. So that's one other big change I just wanted to mention.
One thing I just noticed looking at that section, is there, in this point, it says the coins required to be deposited as provided herein.
Yeah.
Is there a way to
I
adapt
changed it
that
to
language
money.
to the money?
I changed-
You did in the, I have the older one,
Yeah,
okay.
it is in the newer one. I changed
Good.
it to money. for
Because
that
we're
reason.
doing the, along with this separately, but we're doing the Park Mobile app, which will let people not use coins. So I think that's important. All right, any other questions or comments, guys? No?
Just the one other thing about, that we've talked about is we need better signage in
Yes.
downtown where the municipal lots are.
Yes.
Somebody driving in, we got a lot of people come from the outside, come into our restaurants, all right? And you see that in other municipalities, where there's signs for the municipal parking.
Mhm. And one thing that Jim's working with that with engineering, and we're going to be talking with them about it. And was Eric involved, I think, or was it just you and Eric wasn't involved in that?
No, I think we're working with the parks, with the parking enforcement.
Parking enforcement, sorry, yeah. Parking enforcement. Got messed up in my head. We're going to get a plan for the better signage and also better striping, because particularly the lot behind Joe and Joe's, you almost can't tell where the private lot is versus the public lot at all, and
The one near Joyce,
no one ever parks in Joyce. No one ever parks in the other one that was only commuter, which now won't be only commuter down south, but no one was there. No one was there, and they also, if they see it, they don't know it's public lot,
There's
so.
usually 20 to 25 spots.
So the goal is to basically take people who currently spend a lot of time in downtown, incentivize them to spend their time parking by paying for a permit, not have to feed meters anymore, go into a lot half a block away, so the people who just pass through can use those meters, and then we'll still have the merchant meters authorized as we do right now for merchants if they want to park on the street only, but this is, it's necessary. We have the spaces, they're not being utilized, so we need to fix this before we do anything else. So, all right, so do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? All right, so next is designation of lead agency for SECRA. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Then the next one is the resolution to actually adopt a local law amending chapters 24 and 26 of the town code regarding parking. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second from Councilman Troy. All in favor? Thank you very much. Moving on, Substance Abuse Committee. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Accept resignation of Chris Brower from the Blue Hill Golf Committee. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Valentine. All in favor? Appoint Patrick Shields to the Blue Hill Golf Course Committee. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Resolution to appoint Stefan Muno to OEM Committee. Is there a motion? Councilman Batari, second from Councilman Troy. All in favor? Appoint Anthony Lamandry to the tab. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Divney. All in favor? Accept the resignation of Joe Urban. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy?
Yeah, I'll make that. I just want to thank her for her service. She was a terrific leader of the seniors. She was a very energetic, driven person. In terms of,
Yes.
she was good at herding cats, too.
In the first month, when I took office last year, she set up camp in my office to tell me all the things that I was doing wrong with her committee. So, and I don't think I had done anything with the committee yet, but she's a great person.
That's
and
Joe Urban.
We'll miss her, but I'm sure we'll see her around town, but she definitely was great in her job, so. Dennis, you want to move that?
Yes,
I'll be happy to second. Is there, I'm sorry, all in favor? Sorry, I'm training my, do the wrong thing here. All right, appoint and reappoint the Senior Advisory Committee. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that also, and Natalie Shutter has taken over for Rosemary Fenario on that committee, and she's done a very good job on that, and matter of fact, she ended up doing the recruiting of the new senior leader, so it's some good changes there in the committee, and continue to work very well for the town. So, yes.
Okay, motion from Councilman Troy, second from Councilman Valentine, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, with the resignation of Peter Duda, I haven't spoken to Peter. I was meant to call him today. I wish he would stay. I have to imagine that some of the grief he's gotten in a fully volunteer role, the amount of hours he put in, had to play into this. Yeah. I would just ask that folks in the public remember that when someone's volunteering for our committees and trying to help their community out, that they're doing it out of a sense of volunteerism. And whether Mr. Duda is resigning simply because he just wants to spend more time with his family or not, I've seen the way some people in the public treated him when he was trying to do the right thing. And I know I wouldn't want to deal with it, especially for a salary of $0 and 0 cents. So if someone's trying to help, frustration's frustration, but there's a line that it's a human you're talking to who's trying to do the right thing. So I don't want to lose any more good people because people won't treat people like people. They treat them like some sort of target. We're the targets. We're the politicians. It's our job. Don't go after the people that are trying to help the community out. And I don't. And if Peter denies, that's why I don't care. I just saw the stuff that he was dealing with, and whether it had any to do with his resignation or not, was just disturbing to see some of the things he had to deal with as a volunteer trying to help this town out. And we will miss him in that position because he did a lot. So I will move that agenda item. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Valentine, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution to authorize amendment to the budget line for shade tree plantings. Is there a motion? Councilman Batari, second from Councilman Valentine, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to, memorializing resolution for Paula Boveski to oppose the release of her killers. Is there a motion? Councilman
You want to make that one, Dennis?
Troy,
I would like to make that, yeah.
All right, second.
second by Councilman Divney, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to accept the proposal agreement for Mazer regarding the drafting of a zone to then do public hearings on. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine with the motion, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, it's premature.
Resolution to accept, receive, file documents to town clerk's office. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second from Councilman Valentine. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to accept and receive the sanitary sewer easement. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second from Councilman Divney. All in favor? Approve certificates of sewer registration. Motion. Councilman Batari, second from Councilman Valentine. All in favor? Resolution to purchase the subscription with Westlaw. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Extend the license agreement for the use of the firing range in Ramapo. Motion. Valentine, second by Batari. All in favor? Accept a drainage easement at Griffin site plan. Motion by Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Gonna give me some movement so I can pretend it was a raised hand. Resolution to grant permission for the Finance Department to attend a conference. Motion. Councilman Valentine, second. Councilman Batari. All in favor? Declare surplus vehicles under police. Is there a motion? Councilman Batari, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
A resolution to approve a final settlement of nuisance value, essentially. Is there a motion? Subrogation.
Move.
Councilman Divney with the motion, second with Councilman Troy. All in favor? Approve assistance for the Tappan Zee High School 5K run walk. Motion by Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Approve the Highway Department open house, again, May 18th, 10 to 12 p.m. Be there. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Valentine. Sorry, Councilman Batari. You Blauvelt people confuse me. Resolution to approve the bid award for one sidewalk snowplow with accessories. Is there a motion on that one? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Resolution to approve and grant disbursement agreement for the Oak Tree Road Bridge, which we're finally getting. Is there a motion on that? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Thank you. This isn't too bad, given it's 2 weeks worth of meetings, right? Resolution to approve lend aid for St. Patrick's Day Parade, Pearl River. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Valentine. All in favor? approve the St. Dominic's Convent 5K Nun Run Assistance. Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Patari, all in favor. Award contract to the Blue Hill Golf Course pond renovation. Is there a motion by Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Patari, all in favor. Resolution to accept donation for the Piermont, from the Piermont Historical Society to the Spark Hill entrance to the Erie Path. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy, all in favor. Appoint, I'm gonna move items 35, 36, 37 as a whole, second by Councilman Divney, all in favor. All right, 38, resolution to appoint Mike Weber as Deputy Commissioner. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy, all in favor. Authorize GHD to slightly modify a chlorine thing. Motion. Councilman Tari, second by Councilman Divney, all in favor. Hire West Law Group, no affiliation with the West Law thing, for it to fight the ammonia requirement. Councilman Batari, second by Councilman Valentine, all in favor. Appoint Phil Amirati to maintenance mechanic electrician. Motion. Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy, all in favor. Reclassify accountant one, a motion. Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy, all in favor. Appoint Natalie Shutter to accountant two. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy, all in favor. We're at the audit. We made it.
Okay, tonight's audit consists of 3 warrants for $12.6 million. The first warrant had 16 vouchers for $11.4 million, and that was for the special districts funding. The second warrant had 13 vouchers for $54,000. These are 2018 items. Items of interest, number 2, Mazer Consulting, $27,000 for traffic signal engineering. That's coming out of bonded money. The third warrant had 138 vouchers for $1.1 million. Items of interest, number 9, CSEA Employee Benefit Fund, $30,000 for dental benefits. Number 10, Environmental Construction, $43,000 for an emergency sewer blockage repair. Yonkers Paving is going to reimburse the town for that since that was their fault. Number 16, Mazer Consulting, $26,000 for traffic signal design, also bonded money. Number 17, Civil Service, $765,000 for CSEA Healthcare. Number 22, Trias, $38,000 for patching equipment, bonded money. And number 23, Vassal Systems, $15,000 for highway equipment, bonded money. Any questions on the audit?
Questions, gentlemen? No? Is there a motion on the audit?
Moved.
Moved by Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy, all in favor? All right, so we're going to be adjourning to executive session, but we have memory of a few folks here, and if anyone wants to chime in for, that knows them better than I do, we have Sharon Frayne, Nee Hamilton, a resident of Pearl River, the Honorable Terrence Patrick Ryan, former resident of Pearl River, and the Suffern and the Village Justice of Suffern from 1970-82, and then Detective Simonson, sorry, of the NYPD, who was just killed during a robbery in Queens. Did he? Peterson? Oh, sorry, I didn't have this phone out. Lieutenant Richard Peterson, he passed away on February 25th, 24 years of service. Sorry. Retired 84. He served in the Korean War, and his family resides in Pearl River. And the father-in-law of our auxiliary police captain, Pablo Ramos. So definitely give a lot for our town, and his family continues to serve the town.
I got one other, Gitanho Giordano.
Right. Okay. And Rob, you knew Terrence Ryan, right?
Yeah, Terrence was a long-serving, as it says, he was a Suffern Village Justice, and he was also an attorney. Actually had a trial against him when I was in the district attorney's office, and he was a defense attorney, and he served people of Rockland, for a long time, and particularly Village of Suffern. So he was a good man, good family man. good attorney.
All right. So I'm going to move that we enter executive session to discuss legal matters and land sale and anything else. Rob, you got anything else in those two items? Legal matters and land sales.
Right, I think there was a personnel issue as well. to
Personnel.
discuss.
And immediately thereafter adjourn in memory of those folks that we lost. Is there a second? Councilman Valentine, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Green, who won that trial?